Okay, I'm getting ready to harvest some rosemary seeds. The flowers have all bloomed, and now the seeds are ready. So I'm going to collect some of the seeds, and I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a trim. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little brown paper bag, and I'm just going to trim this up. I brought the brown paper bag instead of the basket, a basket, is because I wanted to catch these seeds. And once all these seeds fall off, I can certainly use those leaves to dry and refill my rosemary jars. I think I'm going to leave. I'm not going to cut that back that much more, but this will grow this year and fill in nicely. Once I buy a plant, or it's given to me, I hardly ever buy it again because I collect the seeds. Okay, I am going to just kind of dump a lot of this out. It smells so good. So I'm going to take some of these seeds off. I'm going to use this rosemary, but I don't want to wash it until I've gotten most of these seeds off. Okay. And I've got this bowl here where I'm going to keep the seeds. Right here, there are a lot of little, what used to be the flower, now it's these little seed pods. And if I break one of those open, there's 1, 2, let me just take that one off. See how many seeds are in one little pod. There's 3, and I can feel the other one. Yeah, there's 4. There's 4 seeds in that one little pod. And there's like a bazillion little pods on here. So they're coming off really easy. And the rest of this is just fine to hang to dry. That's pretty much from one stalk. But I can either put these in a jar of fresh water just to keep them fresh for fresh cooking, or I can hang them up, and I'm probably gonna do a little bit of both. I'm just gonna rinse any kind of dust or anything like that off of it. Before I got the seeds, see there's a little seed pod. I'm not going to throw it in there because I want these to be as dry as possible. I want the seeds to be really dry, and there's no reason to rinse the seeds, no reason at all. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up all of these ends, and I'm going to I want to make sure that I'm not tying these in a big clump, because I want this to have as much air as possible so that they can dry out, because that's what I'm doing with these. I'm going to hang them to dry. So I'm taking a little bit of garden twine, kitchen twine, whatever you have. You can do a rubber band, you can do fishing line, you can use whatever you want to tie these up. I give these a little bit of a long string, and I'm going to show you why here in just a minute, because I like to hang them in different varying lengths. I don't want everything all clumped together. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to tie one more little loop right up here at the top. I'm going to take this and hang this where my drying herb rack is. Okay, let's go do that. This is where I hang my herbs. There's some oregano. I had some thyme, but I'm out of time. I need to go get some more thyme. But you can watch the thyme video because I've already done one on that one. But here's some rosemary that I hung up, about a week or two ago. And I don't like them to hang too long over here because I don't want them to get dusty. I've gone to the trouble, this is the fresh one, I've gone to the trouble to rinse everything off, and I don't want it to get dusty, so I don't want them to hang too long. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this rosemary that's been drying for a while, and I'm just gonna take off that twine. I can reuse that. And I am going to just take that rosemary off of there like that. And this is all really good and dry. So this is ready to go into my spice jars. Okay, this is something that we will use for shish kebabs as a skewer on the grill. So I'm just going to process that. Now, it's really better if you don't grind up your herbs until you're ready to use them, because you lose some of the oils that way. So I might just put these, it just depends on the time, right? Like when I'm cooking, I don't know that I really want to take the time to grind up my herbs at that time. That one's too flimsy for a skewer, so I'm going to put that in the compost. So the question of whether or not to go ahead and chop them up now, it just depends on how much time I want to spend whenever I'm cooking something. Usually I'm in too much of a hurry to do that. And rosemary is really strong anyway, so I might just go ahead and chop that up. This is what I like to do. I just use a coffee grinder. A special funnel made just for these mason jars, so I don't want to spill any of it, so I'm going to use that. I don't want to waste any of it. And then I'll do some more. Okay, yeah, you saw how much there was. It was about down to there, so just that little bit. There wasn't a lot that I had hanging that was dried. Filled up that jar. So yeah, organic rosemary. How much is that in the store? Just like with all the other aromatic herbs, this plant has a job to do. It's repelling. Really, it's not repelling. It's confusing the pests. They don't just see rows and rows of squash, rows and rows of tomatoes. It's confusing them, just putting everything together, mixing everything up. It just so happens that in itself lends itself really well to creating a landscape. You know, you put this here for this texture, you put this here for the flowers. The other thing that I really love about the rosemary, I mean, rosemary has been used in landscapes. It's very widely accepted to put it in apartment complexes, really nice ones, hospitals, shopping malls. Here in Texas where I live, it just stays evergreen all winter long. We had a really hard freeze where it rained really hard and then everything was just encased in ice. And the ice all thawed and this was just fine. So it's evergreen and it has a lot of winter interest in the landscape and all year. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this up and just kind of shape it. You know, the other thing that I love about that, and I wish I had an example to show you right now, is being able to shape this into some kind of a topiary. When we were in France, we went to the Normandy region of France, and we went to Paris and Versailles. I was lucky enough, I got to go to the Versailles Gardens, dream come true, and they had all of these sculptures made out of trees, and I tried to figure out what those trees were, but I kept thinking rosemary. Rosemary, rosemary, rosemary. Now, I don't have a fancy garden. I don't have a real formal garden, but it would be fun to shape rosemary into a shape, but you could certainly do it into a square like a hedge. You could do it into a ball. You could do it into a topiary. You could do it, you know, like one of those swirly things. I don't do because I don't have a formal garden, but this is very shapeable. At Christmas time, we see them, they're shaped into a little Christmas tree. It's rosemary, and they sell them for like, I don't know, $25, $35. And you buy it and you give it to someone as like, hey, Merry Christmas, you know, or you bring it into your house as a Christmas thing. If you get one of those, plant it in the ground. I mean, don't plant it until the spring, but Mediterranean herbs really remind me of the Southwest. So where I live in Texas, it's a very Southwest style to have plants like this. So why go against the flow, right? This is something I never have to do anything to it. I don't have to water it. I don't do anything to it except for I'm about to give it a haircut. I'm gonna just shape it up a little bit so it doesn't get too out of control because we walk along this pathway to get up there. The kids like to go up there. And I don't want this rosemary to overgrow this little pathway here. So I don't want it to, I've got a lot of baby bok choy planted all along this pathway. You can't really see it yet, but I don't want it to choke out anything else. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a haircut. Okay, I'm not gonna shape this. I may give it a trim, but I'm not gonna really I'm not gonna shape it because it's not my style. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's whatever your taste is. It's your home, your yard, your taste, right? And beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. Well, for me, my style, or our style with the little old farmhouse and everything, is just very natural. It's not formal at all. So I'm not gonna shape this up. I may do that for fun, like maybe with some Christmas trees for some gifts for some people. Ooh, that's what I'm gonna do. Don't tell anybody for my family. But I think I really would like to have a topiary, maybe over by the cabana or something like that. So, but right here in the landscape, everything is au naturel. So whenever I do a lot of my trimming, it's because I need rosemary in the kitchen to cook with. I need some dry or I need some fresh, or we need a skewer for shish-ka-bobs on the grill, something like that. So be sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. You can share it. There's a little share button down here if you know someone who's really into gardening. And be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit that little bell if you haven't done so already. You don't have to do that every time. You just have to do it once, and it'll alert you whenever I put up a new video. And that'll do it for this one. Y'all stay safe out there. Bye for now.